So let's talk about this. Do you like it? Are you for it? Are you happy? Against it? What do you make of it?
I'm trying to let it sink in a little bit. Obviously, I think with all the rumors that were going on in the week leading up to the end of the lockout, there was a lot of talk that Reggie Bush could be the top priority for the Dolphins in the offseason. That wasn't the case. They actually went after D'Angelo Williams first, Ahmad Bradshaw. Both of those guys priced themselves out of what the Dolphins were looking for. Word just came out that the deal with Reggie Bush is 2 years, $10 million, so $5 million each year, depending on how they break it up. I don't know what the guarantees are, what the compensation is yet, but it's not a bad deal in terms of getting a guy that's as flashy as Reggie Bush is. The Dolphins needed something that was going to add a little bit of excitement to the stadium. Ronnie Brown and Ricky Williams were not it anymore. Whether or not how he fits into the Dolphins offense, I think he's going to bring a little bit more of a dynamic to the team, especially in passing situations. But as far as is he the right guy, I don't know yet. Daniel Thomas, the rookie, is going to carry the load. He's probably going to get his 250 carries this year. Reggie Bush probably get 15 to 20 carries a game, or be involved to some degree with that. But I think I'm letting it sit in a little bit, see if Reggie Bush is the right answer, or if he was just the flashy answer, to be honest with you. There's other guys out there, Darren Sproles, Kevin Smith. I think they may have been able to have a little bit more of an impact in the team. Reggie Bush is one of those guys that you don't know what you're going to get with him. Is he mentally going to bring his A game, or is he going to be what he was in New Orleans, and that being a guy that was very underproductive?
I mean, Reggie Bush, to me, is a guy that I think you hit the nail on the head right there. He's exciting. He brings excitement to a team. Whether or not, like you said, he's going to be productive is a different question. Obviously, I think fans will eventually get on him if he is not, in fact, productive. But I want to go back to what you were talking about with his role on this team. That's the thing I find the most interesting. What is going to be the role of Reggie Bush on this team? I mean, is he going to be basically in those passing situations? Are we going to see him as a return man? What type of situations? Is he truly just a situational back? What do you make of him right now?
This will be what's fun about the Dolphins offense this year. Brian Daboll, the new offensive coordinator who came over from Cleveland, is installing a more New England-style type offense. So the boring Dan Henning offense that we've seen for the last few years is gone. They are still going to incorporate the Wildcat in there. Reggie Bush will not be that Wildcat quarterback like Ronnie Brown was, but he's going to bring a different atmosphere to this team because he can run the ball out of the slot or line up in the slot and give a new passing dimension. He can come out of the backfield. You can put Daniel Thomas and Reggie Bush on the field together in a dual set back, and teams are going to have to account for that. Are you going to pound it up the middle with Daniel Thomas, or is Reggie Bush going to take it to the outside? He's a guy that can get into the game, do a little bit of pass blocking, and then flare out to the outside. You can hit him on those outside. He's going to be matched up with a linebacker. Mm-hmm. So you can incorporate him very many different ways into that offensive system. Brian Daboll is going to be challenged with actually getting it to work. When you start looking at Reggie Bush being on the field, Brandon Marshall being on the field, Devon Bess is a great slot wide receiver. Suddenly the Dolphins have a little bit more firepower there, and they can actually utilize it. The question is going to be who's going to throw the ball to him. Mm-hmm. I don't look for Reggie Bush to make an impact on this team as a running back. I just don't see how he's going to pound it up the middle. And when he's on the field, people are going to know, okay, he's going to bounce it out to the outside in all likelihood. So you've got to try and find a way to get him into the passing game and utilize him in that area. And I think that the Dolphins will be able to find a way to do that. But it's not going to be, they can't use the Wildcat package with him, I don't think, anyway.
So talk about that. I mean, right now you look at that, you had mentioned, Ricky Williams, Ronnie Brown, they aren't those guys anymore. So obviously you got Reggie Bush, and talk about the kid that they picked up in the draft. Talk about Daniel Thomas, exactly what his role. I mean, if we're talking roles, and we're not talking Reggie Bush as a running back, is it going to be Thomas that's going to be basically handling the bulk of the load?
Absolutely. Daniel Thomas was brought in strictly to be that featured back. He's going to carry the ball 250 times this year, around that number, obviously. He's going to carry the bulk of the load of the Dolphins offense. Tony Sperano is a run-first type of coach. He wants to pound the ball up the middle. He wants to gain those hard, tough yards, and that's what Daniel Thomas is going to do. He is a Marion Barber-style runner, and I wouldn't even be the least bit surprised to see the Dolphins bring in Marion Barber now that he's been released from Dallas as well. They're still going to add another running back to this roster at some point in the next week or two. So I look for Daniel Thomas to be that power guy. He was very similar to Ronnie Brown, very similar to Marion Barber, like I said. So here's a guy that's going to be on the field the majority of the plays. You're going to see Reggie Bush come in maybe on first down, maybe on third down, depending on what package the Dolphins want to run or what the defenses are throwing at them. But the bulk of the carries is going to be taken by Daniel Thomas. And this is a kid who can really put forth, I mean, there's no reason why this guy should not make 1,000 yards this year easily if the Dolphins can shore up their offensive line, because their offensive line last year was horrible. And if they can get that fixed, I think Daniel Thomas is going to really surprise a lot of people. Miami wanted him so bad that they moved up into the second round to get him because they didn't have a second-round pick. So a lot of people thought they were going to go with quarterbacks, specifically Ryan Mallett. They shocked a lot of people when they moved up to get Daniel Thomas. So they are definitely going to use this guy as much as possible.